projection.
Welcome to Taking On Sports, everybody. I am TD. That is Greg. Greg, how you doing, man?
I am good. How are you today, sir?
I'm pretty good, man. Pretty good. Nice, good Sunday here in Birmingham. Just got some college baseball on the TV right now. Waiting for this game 2 of the finals coming up. Good sports night.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And we'll hop right into that. The NBA Finals is where we'll start. When we last left y'all, we had just seen both Denver and Miami go up 3-0, and we said no way that either of them could come back or lose that, and we were right about Denver. They finished off LA in 4, but Miami made it real interesting.
Real interesting.
Real interesting. Boston showed some heart. Game 4 and Game 5, a crazy Game 6. Just one of the craziest endings to an NBA playoff game I can remember.
Most definitely.
And then Game 7, Jason Tatum got hurt early, and Miami just pumped them in their own building.
Exactly.
But yeah, and then we've seen Game 1 of the finals. Denver won pretty easily. So we'll start there, Greg. Is Denver just too good? Is it their title to lose?
Yeah, I think it is their title to lose. I've always thought this is kind of a 5, max 6 game series. I mean, I think just top to bottom. I mean, they're a deep team. They're well coached. And I think that I'd be shocked, if the Heat win the finals. To be honest, I mean, the Heat, they've done it. I mean, it's a great story. They've come out the playing game, the 8th seed, first time since '99 when the Knicks did it to reach the NBA Finals. But I think they're going to kind of have the same fate as the Knicks team, kind of get run through in the NBA Finals. But
yeah, and as fun as it is to root for them, and especially Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, and like their unsung cast of like Caleb Martins of the world coming out of nowhere, no Tyler Hero on that team. It's fun to root for them, but yeah, Denver's also fun to watch. They're with
fun.
Joker, man. I mean, that's just a guy that's just so captivating.
Yeah,
to watch him play basketball.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, you look at it like there's nothing athletic about this dude at all. But yet,
not at all.
He's so unstoppable. Like everything seems so slow, so methodical. Like everything you don't think of a basketball player, but yet it's great to watch. You can't stop it, and it's just I don't know. It's an art.
No, yeah, he's so smart, like in terms of basketball IQ. But yeah, he looks like the guy that shows up to the rec for a pickup game, and everyone's like, "Oh shit, I don't want him on." And then he just balls out and runs the game, and
exactly.
He's so good, even if he's not shooting well. He runs the offense, and he gets other guys shots, and he commands so much
the way
attention.
He passes the ball, man.
Yeah, his vision is something else. And then, his cast is, not too shabby. Jamal Murray, obviously.
Jamal Murray, I mean.
Yeah. Their 3-point shooting as a team.
Yeah. I mean when they're healthy, I mean, they got a, great team. They have great chemistry. And then, I mean, they're just... Right now, I mean, you look at it, if they stay healthy, are able to stay together, and getting ahead of myself a little bit because they haven't even finished things out. But, I mean, they could have quite a nice little run there in Denver as the this Nuggets team, as the perennial kind of taking over the West for a little bit, I would say, just for where everybody's at currently.
Yeah, for sure. Like you mentioned their chemistry, and as a team, everything clicks with them. Like there doesn't seem to be any, misunderstandings or any type of grievance within that squad. You mentioned also their well coach Mike Malone out there.
Mike Malone is a big coach.
Yeah, and good for the city, Denver, that basketball franchise. Their first ever finals.
Right.
They should win it. Come close a few times. They never really had great teams before. At least in
Yeah,
our lifetime. The Kimbe Mutombo team that upset Seattle. That was an 8
Seattle.
seed.
Yeah, I mean, you still remember that picture, him holding the
Mm-hmm.
ball up. They were decent. They had some decent teams with Carmelo, but not
Mm-hmm.
no team that you're like, oh, this team's definitely winning the final. They had some decent teams with him and Kenyon Martin,
Mm-hmm.
Chauncey Billups. They were decent. But yeah, not
But
one where they're definitely about to win the finals.
no, yeah, but then they were also running up against like the Lakers of the two
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
thousands,
they
and
were running up
yeah,
against the Lakers, the Spurs. I mean, they were some tough outs there in the West.
yeah, like it was tough for them. They never could quite get over that hump, and
Right.
they tried to get late career Iverson there, but he just
Yeah,
didn't quite adapt to that role there.
yeah, yeah. That didn't quite work
Um,
out very well.
no, and he is in his defense. He's come out and said that. Since then, being like, yeah, it was his fault for not, adjusting the player he could be. You
Yeah.
know, but I know, but yeah. So I mean, we're always wary of making predictions here because they often go so horrible for us.
We've heard
Yeah,
many a team this NBA postseason, and um, but
yeah,
it's hard to go against them. But I would expect more of an effort. I wouldn't say effort. I mean, Miami just couldn't hit anything on Thursday night.
yeah,
And they had a lot of good. They actually didn't have bad shots. They just couldn't hit anything at all. So they're definitely going to have to. And you would have. I mean, been a pretty good shooting team for most of this playoffs. A lot of unsung heroes there, but and a group of guys you wouldn't expect. But yeah, I would expect a much better shooting performance. And a much closer game two. But,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned they can't really afford to have off nights shooting
no,
because Denver shoots so well,
right,
particularly in these playoffs.
right,
But yeah, I do think Miami, just being them, they'll probably steal a game or two. Um,
yeah,
game game two is about to start here in a few minutes as we record. I just saw that Kevin Love's going to be starting tonight.
yeah.
Um, that's interesting. Not a lot of people had Kevin Love start an NBA Finals game in 2023 on their bingo
Correct.
cards. But
Yeah.
hey,
So,
you got to do what you got to do because I think it means Caleb Martin's out tonight.
yeah, Caleb
Um,
Martin's sick or something. So,
yeah. So
but
unfortunate for Miami,
he's
but a good run,
right.
like you said, and we talked about it last time. That's just a franchise that uh, their culture, they know how to
Oh yeah,
win.
yeah, quality. I think
Yeah,
it starts
exactly.
just with their Pat Riley on down. I mean, Pat Riley's built quite the franchise there, and we don't know his coaching history, and then won was the coach when they won that title in '06, and moved into the front office. Brought the whole Bron thing and put that together with around D Wade and brought the Miami there some more titles, and then this you know a little different this go around. Of course, Jimmy Butler, the star, and put quality people around him. And, they then their exposure. I mean, definitely one of the most unheralded, but one of the definitely I would say right now the best coach in the NBA. Just for what
Absolutely.
he's done.
Yeah, I don't think that you can really make an argument for anyone. I mean, obviously, Pops has got the lifetime,
He has a lifetime, but I
award,
mean, we
but
know things have kind of
yeah, but right
gotten
now, it's absolutely,
yeah,
Spo.
and
If you can't win the titles he has, and then also, bring a team like this
yeah.
to,
And even when they won, even like last year, I mean, they made the Eastern Conference Finals, took the Celtics to Game 7. Could have easily, they had chances to make the finals last year. We know they won in the bubble. They made it to the finals. Not the easiest atmosphere to win in. Able to get there. Then I mean, it's quite the run. It's been quite the run there. And even if they don't win, I mean, in this finals, I mean, no one had expectations of Miami getting past the Bucks. So I mean, they well exceeded everything that they could have ever hoped for. I mean, this was a
exactly. I mean,
team. I mean, they had to go to that second. playing game to even get into the playoffs because they lost. Did they? I'm trying to
Lost to
think.
the Hawks, didn't they, in that first playing game?
They lost the first. Yeah, they lost their first game.
And
So
then they were
they had
down
to beat the Bulls.
and had to come back and beat the Bulls too. They were
Yeah.
down pretty big in
So
that game.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, hell of a job, a good season, and it's not over yet. As we said, like we've been wrong before here, and
If there
it
was a
would
team that's gonna,
surprise me. What's
yeah,
that?
if there's gonna be a team that's gonna prove us wrong, this was the one to be the least shocking
Exactly.
out of
Yeah,
our
like it
previous
would
predictions.
surprise me if they beat Denver, but it also wouldn't. Like it'd be one of
Right.
those not surprising surprises.
Yeah,
You just
just
kind of
because
go,
of the
okay, yeah, got it. But
right.
so yeah, like I said, game two just started underway here. And we will move on to the teams that lost those conference finals. Uh, let's start with Boston. Um, since they almost made the comeback, fell short in Game 7.
Hmm.
Their big decision looming is whether they keep the Tatum and Brown duo together and give Brown the max contract that he now could be due for making the All Pro team, the All
Right.
NBA team. Um, What do you think on that? Do you think they should keep together because they've been so close for so long now, or do you think that they need to shake it up? Make a coaching change, or run with this
Hmm.
rookie coach and just run it back, or whatever.
Well, you know, they've been doing this for a while now. They've been to quite a few um, Eastern Conference Finals. We know they went to the finals last year, but I don't know if I'm confident that with how they're built right now, if they're going to if they can get over the hump and actually win a title. Um, this should have been the year that they made the finals for sure, just with how everything played out. But you know, and that's a lot of money. Two players making max money. eh, that's it's a
Yeah,
big
that'd be
part of you.
almost 100 million between the two of them alone,
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
especially with the new CBA coming up
Exactly.
in a couple years. I think when it actually takes effect, and that's maybe something we go over in the off season.
Right.
um, and kind of dive into that, what effect that has on team building in the future. But it seems, at least at first, to kind of hamstring what you can do in terms of paying a lot of guys decent money. It seems like
Hmm.
you maybe can only do two big contracts, and the rest you have to piece together.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I tend to. It's one of those things I've looked at. It is so hard. They're both good, but they both, I think it depends on
No.
whether you think they can still improve in their
Right.
game. Like, where does Tatum have another level he can get to? Does
Yeah.
Brown have another level?
You don't know
Yeah, I mean, there
because
seem to be like obvious things. Like you have to do something different inside. I don't think you can run back Al Horford anymore. He's
yeah, I mean
there's a
he's
lot of miles on those
a
legs.
lot of miles, a lot of he's been a heck of a run for Al Horford in many cities. But yeah, that train is at the end, and you just look at it too. I mean, very rarely do both of them have a good game together. And that's what you want to see from your dynamic
Hmm.
duo. You want to see consistency where both show up at the same time. It seems like you either get Brown or you get Tatum, or you get bad both of them, but you don't get both of them good at the same time. And I think that's the most worrisome part about it is if you uh, give them this money and then things don't, you're throwing a lot of money at them, and if it doesn't work out, I mean, you're kind of stuck with what that is. Same time, though, I guess you look at it from the other end. What what would you do to get better?
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know what that answer necessarily is, but if I'm if I'm looking at it from a front office perspective, or just I think Jalen is going to get moved sooner than later. I mean, I don't think that they're going to run that back again could be wrong, but I think that he's gonna be on the market and he'll go, help another franchise out. But I think they're gonna break it up sooner than later. Myself.
Yeah, and it's uh, you do have to think about, he's been in trade rumors plenty of times before, and you sure
Yeah.
that maybe he wants a new change of scenery.
And,
Does he think he can be the number one guy on the team? Does he want to go
but
somewhere? The free agent market's a little weak this year.
it is.
It is. So, Boston does have to think about how they replace him. Is that,
Right.
a sign and trade thing? Um, one thing I've read that could be floated out is, Portland, they don't want to rebuild. They still want to try to go for it with Dame. And so do they trade
Hmm.
that number 3 pick? Is there some package you can work there
That'd be
that Boston
interesting.
can send Jalen over to, play with Dame there?
Right.
Um, and then Boston, maybe they draft a guy like, Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's interesting. I think they're probably maybe the most interesting team this offseason just because of that.
Right.
You want to see what they do if they think that they have their duo, or if they want to call it quits on that and try
Right.
something else. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, but yeah, but you also think that whatever they do, they should be, in the hunt again in the East
Oh yeah,
next year.
you would think so. I mean, they still have, they're still gonna have both, or at least Jason Tatum there. And though at times he does have games where you're like, where did Jason go? I mean, he's still a heck of a player. I mean, he's still, one of the better players in the league there. You know what he brings some most of the time. So yeah, so they're definitely going to be in the mix there. I mean, especially considering, Philly has a lot of questions. Milwaukee has a lot of questions. So I think they're still better off than and have less questions than some of the other teams there. But,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Like you said, they have less questions. They just have one really big question.
right, the big one.
Uh, yeah.
Right.
Moving to the West, the other team, the Lakers, the Celtics perennial rival. First of all, do you, with any ounce of you, do you actually believe that LeBron is seriously considering retirement?
I mean, no.
Yeah.
It's gonna be until he does it. It's kind of like Tom Brady. You don't ever think he's gonna stop.
hmm
I mean, it's what he knows, it's what he loves, it's what he's done his whole adult life.
Yeah.
You
He,
know,
always has talked about playing
he-
with his son.
right. Like the NBA I mean, we've since sophomore year in college, we've seen LeBron in the NBA,
hmm
and for him not to be in the league anymore, it would be so weird. But we've seen others after their career. It's weird. After Kobe was done, after Dirk was done, people that have the long careers like that. But it's going to come eventually. But yeah, I don't think he's done quite yet. Especially how this past year ended. Uh, they had a decent run. Another team was a play-in team there. Most of the first half of the season was a mess.
Oh, yeah.
They front office did a pretty good job of piecing stuff together, bringing folks in that were going to help out. I think it's just a matter of if he thinks that he can give it his all and able to still be a productive player, he's going to keep going. But
hmm
I think it's just a matter of how he comes back from this current injury more than anything. But
Yeah, and you could definitely see, especially toward the end there in the Western Conference Finals, like he was fatigued. He was
it's tired.
kind of pulling up for jump
A lot
shots.
of money.
Taking possessions off. Yeah, that's another guy
Mhm.
that's got a lot of miles on his legs. Um, but Yeah, I'm with you. I know. As soon as I saw that, I was like, no, he's not. Like, there's no way that LeBron retires this offseason.
No,
Like, maybe next year could be the last year, no, but I think, I mean, he's talked so much about wanting to play with Bronny, his son,
yeah,
and, Bronny just committed to USC.
right. So at least
So he'll
has to
play
go
there,
a year
what?
there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a one and done guy, probably. Um, and, and as you mentioned too, LeBron's not one of those guys that's going to go out like he did. With it getting swept. He doesn't
And
want
so,
that to be
yeah,
his
it's not
lasting
his
legacy, getting
legacy.
swept. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I mean, I got Kobe's last years weren't great either, but he was injured and hurt, and he just finally listened to
a
his body.
little,
He's a fighter.
right.
Uh,
And it was a little
um,
different.
hmm
Just because there was really no expectations for the end of
ex-
Kobe's career.
exactly. Yeah, the team around him was such garbage.
Yeah, I mean it was
uh,
Kobe and guys.
yeah, it literally was Kobe and them.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but yeah, so where that goes is, almost the same question as Boston, but where does the Lakers' path forward? Do we think that, can they trust AD to stay healthy long
Mm,
enough, for a full season and give them
that's a
what they need? Because when good AD is, one of the best players in the league,
yeah
but you just don't get good AD
consistently.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. You don't get it
And then,
consistently, and then you're guaranteed to miss 20, 30 games a year.
yeah.
And then
And then they have all these, D'Angelo Russell's going to be a free agent.
right.
Pretty sure, what's his face? Their new star guy, white boy,
Oh, Austin
uh,
Reeves.
Austin Reeves. Yeah, I was blanking on him. I think he's due for a contract. Can they
Yeah,
afford him? Do they want to pay him? What's some other team going to come out of left field with plenty of cap space and
right.
overpay him?
Because you have to think
Um,
someone's overpaying him. Either the Lakers are or somebody else
yes.
is. Because I mean, he had quite the run there. The
Mm-hmm.
second half of the season, that really showed up at times and had quite a few big games. Some clutch shooting late in a lot of games, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, he showed he can be more than just like a kind of a typical role player. He can be
yeah,
like your number three and maybe potential to be like a number two guy on your team. You
exactly.
know, um,
But then
no slouch. They need
right,
to solve, but they have a lot. It's the opposite of the Celtics. They don't have one big question. They have a lot of little questions.
they have a
It's
lot of
their biggest one is the AD one, but then
yeah,
you got Austin Reeves. You got, do you want D'Angelo Russell back? What do you do for center? Because AD wants to play power forward so much.
yeah,
What do you do for shooting? It's a team that needs some shooting.
right,
A lot of they will also be a very interesting team to watch this off season.
for sure.
But you did mention they did seem to figure things out the second half of the year, and then
They really
obviously
did.
that playoff run.
I mean, it was impressive. I mean, no one really thought they were going to beat Memphis. They handled them pretty easily. I
Hmm
mean, going up against the Warriors, no, they for everybody thought that for sure was done, and they handled the Warriors pretty. I mean, we only went six there, so I mean, they did things to beat the Warriors. So I mean, for what it was, I mean, oh, they exceeded expectations, but it is the Lakers and LeBron, so it doesn't feel like that they succeeded, but they actually did. Just
Right. Yeah. But anytime you have LeBron and AD involved, do you
yeah,
expect, particularly since they've already won a title?
right. You expect their best, but they ran
Mhm.
into the best in the West, and as we see, it's no. You don't. Of course, you want to win everything, but if you lose to Denver, no one's gonna be overly like, "Oh my God, how'd you lose to Denver?" So,
Yeah,
yeah,
particularly a team that,
swept. But,
yeah, maybe the NBA champion. You
right.
can never, you should never feel ashamed of losing to the team that wins a championship.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
um, yeah, I think that's probably it for on the court stuff. If there's anything that on the court wise you want to talk about?
Not a whole lot. I think I'm just being, just the rest of this NBA Finals, see what Miami gives it as far as a series. So far they're shooting way better tonight than what they did Thursday, from what I'm seeing. So
Yeah. Yeah, they're playing. Look like maybe that game one they were just tired
yeah, and
and
that,
maybe
that
needed to.
that altitude will do a lot for it to you too.
Mm-hmm.
Coming off a tough 7 game series there, went a lot further than maybe what it should have. On top of that, they always say it takes at least a half to get used to that that altitude in Denver. So I'm sure that hurt them as well there. So, but,
For sure. And then we have some moving off the court. Uh, some coaching
oh yeah,
changes. Frank Vogel now. Speaking of Lakers, he is going to the Suns. Kind of a surprising hire there.
oh yeah.
Um,
I
let's see. Monty Williams ends up in Detroit, right?
He got big money too.
Yeah, big money, big contract. And that one, that's
It came out of
that
left.
is a really good hire
Yeah,
for a young team that needs a
a guy
good
to
coach.
develop. Oh yeah,
Yeah, we were both surprised by Phoenix letting go of him. I mean, like we know that they lost a series that maybe shouldn't have, but man, he's such a good coach.
he is a coach.
Won Coach of the Year last year.
Yeah.
Made it NBA Finals. So yeah, I think it's a great hire for
Oh
Detroit.
yeah,
Young
great.
team. They're only going to get better. Cade Cunningham up there.
Yeah, they have.
Let's see. We knew that Ime Udoka's going to the Rockets.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Bucks still haven't hired anyone,
I
right?
not
No.
hired anybody. No. That'd be.
This. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that'd be interesting because that's gonna be a big. I think a big part of what the Bucks do. They have some
Hmm.
questions as far as do they keep uh, that 3 man. I guess their big three together or not, and who they bring in as a coach there. But a lot.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. Then there's some
Um,
big names out there.
yeah.
Doc Rivers is still. Do the Bucks think that they
Be
can
the
get something from him? Do the Suns? How much, Giannis and company, they seem to have less of maybe opinions about it, at least, as far as
at least
we
out in the
know.
public.
Yeah, at least in public, as opposed to a guy like KD, who, is famously, asked for coaches
To
to
be
be
like,
fired and hired. Who does he want in
yeah,
Phoenix?
yeah. Well, they got
Um, well, they got Frank Vogel, so
Frank Vogel,
like,
and
is he
that's
happy with that? That's
yeah.
it.
I mean, I would have to. I mean, I don't know how much say he had in that, but I would have to think that if you're I'm sure they at least, I would assume, talked with them about it.
Yeah,
But you never know. Yeah, that's one I was like, wow, you got rid of Monty Williams to bring in Vogel. Like, was that really the? And they said that was the number one option, so I was like, wow, that's I don't know.
yeah. It was not a name I expected to see.
No,
Come across my little ESPN
yeah,
notification.
I was like, what?
Yeah, the Monty Williams to Detroit surprised me too. But then like you said, you see the numbers and you're like, okay. And then what coach doesn't love a good, very talented
Oh yeah, just a young team.
squad with potential?
Yeah.
Because that's a town too that they will show up for basketball
Oh
if
yeah,
you
they
give
love
them a winning team.
when the Pistons are
Mm.
good. Like they love their.
Uh-huh.
And actually, that might historically. I mean, you look at that might be one of the cities where actually they like their basketball team more than their NFL team. But
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, the basketball team's given them winners before.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but yeah, when they're going good, that arena's rocking. They got the Detroit
Oh
basketball.
yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
a fun time.
They're good.
Long as Ron Artest isn't there to,
Hey, Malice and
yeah, that's
What day?
a wild memory. Remember watching that live
Yeah.
like actually seeing it go
Because
down.
it was funny. Yeah, I remember I might have been at Steve and Eddie in them apartment,
I think that's where we were. Yeah,
and it was a blowout game. We were kind of drinking and watching, but we weren't really because
not
it
paying
wasn't a good
attention.
game at
Yeah.
all. And all of a sudden, we're like, oh my god, it just went crazy quickly. It just escalated so fast. Oh man, what a! I was like,
Yeah,
wow.
it was that's something, yeah, you don't ever forget.
Yeah. Sure.
All right, let's see. Yeah, let's see. Sixers. The Sixers have brought in Nick Nurse now. That's a good hire for them. Another NBA championship winning coach.
Yeah, that's the thing. These recent coach of the years and NBA champions, boy, they're getting they're getting tossed quickly.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Yeah,
patience in the league recently.
yeah, right. The league's getting a little. Yeah, it's funny with the in season tournament and all this stuff. And Adam Silver talks about soccer. It's like, man, they're starting to take the coaching thing. You know, those European soccer teams. You know, if you don't win what they want you to win,
Oh
you're
yeah.
one. They're like, all right, bye.
Hmm.
Like you get no time. And seems some of these teams are adopting that. Like, I mean, granted, you know, we knew Doc's time in Philly was done, but you know,
Yeah,
Toronto's had since they won that title, you know, kind of a rough go of it.
but at the same
But
time, I mean, I understand you know want to move away eventually, and but man, it's just no patience. Like I mean, because you always look, are they gonna get a better hire than what they had? And I don't know if Toronto's gonna find that. Whether it was Nick Nurse's time to go or not, I don't know if they're gonna find someone better than him to come into to Toronto at this point.
yeah, it's yeah, exactly because they don't have you know they got a decent enough roster, but they
They
don't
don't
have
have a
anything
star.
really.
They don't.
Yeah, I mean, who is their star there? Yeah, Fred Van Fleet,
Yeah,
OG, like who?
When Fred Van Fleet is probably your most consistent player, like that's yikes. They're not like that could very well turn into a situation where they kind of fall off the map quickly.
Especially in an East that's just
Oh
getting better and better.
yeah,
Um,
exactly,
a lot of teams that were behind them have now, you know, not only caught up but gone past them.
exactly.
So yeah, that's a hire that they kind of have to get right.
All right.
And then obviously they have to make additions to their rosters. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as off the court stuff, I think that's good. Like we said, we're just waiting out the end of the finals, and then the draft coming later this month as well. Uh, I think that's it for NBA talk.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let's see. Yeah, as much as we can get out of it. What else is going on in big in world sports? You know, Major League Baseball season's rolling along. We talked about that before recording. There's just still not
Yeah,
nothing
I
hugely of note
mean,
yet.
it's still, but we're just now getting to June. Um,
Hmm.
and the main thing is just folks staying healthy. You just want star players staying healthy. Get that into the second half, and I think we'll have some interesting second half. The in the AL East to be interesting how that plays out. And I think we should have some epic playoffs. But I mean, it's just such a long season. You can't get overly happy or overly down until a certain point of the season. There,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, last year the Braves were, you know,
but
I think
nine
still had a losing
games
record
out.
at this point in 10 and a half games
Yeah,
out and, you know, won the division.
exactly.
The Phillies were already written off as their season was a
Went to the
waste, and they
World
end
Series.
up, you know, yeah, exactly. Like you said, yeah, right now is that you're just kind of no, you don't want any major injuries to the star players.
Yeah.
Um, and you just kind of it's kind of rounding into shape, you know, like we're kind of
Hmm.
seeing, you know, hey, that Tampa and Baltimore starts, they weren't fluky. They're
Yeah,
still
they're still hanging around.
yeah, they're still playing well.
Yeah,
You know, that Baltimore squad as they've gelled as a
they're
young
young
team, you know.
and young,
Hmm.
some talent. It's just a matter of uh, you know, just building confidence and be like, hey, we're not a fly by night thing. Like we can actually, continue to build on what they ended last because they ended the season very well last year and kind of
Hmm.
continue that on this season. And I would expect them at least in that wild card hunt for the rest of the season.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The Rangers are another team that they had
Oh
a
yeah,
surprisingly hot start, and they're still in the lead out west over Houston. Um, the Angels are actually above 500, which is rare
right.
for some reason, rare in the era that they have Mike Trout and
Yeah,
Otani.
that's just crazy to think about this.
Yeah. Insane that, yeah, you have arguably the two best players in the league, and
So bad.
I don't think they've ever made the playoffs with
No,
them, right? Yeah.
not even
Um,
close.
but yeah, you look into AL and you got, let's see, one, two, three teams with all, better records than the best of the NL.
Hmm.
We mentioned the East, everyone's above 500 in that division.
Yeah.
Um, the Central is not as glamorous, but it's tight, except for Kansas City.
Yeah, that's just how the Central
Um,
always is, though. So
yeah,
never
exactly. You
glamorous.
never know who's
No.
going to come out the Central any given year.
Yeah.
The AL West, like we mentioned, Texas on top of Houston,
Texas
and the
looking
Angels
good,
and
right?
Mariners are kind of hanging back there.
Right. And the
The
Mariners,
A's are
I
the worst
guess,
team
is
in
kind of the
baseball, but
biggest shock because I mean the Mariners, a young talented team, and had a good little run last year before they ran into Houston. They really haven't started the season as a lot of people expected. I think a lot of people
no,
thought
yeah,
they were
they've
if anybody was going to challenge Houston for that West title this year, it was going to be the Mariners, and it really hasn't been the case so far. So we'll see um, what they do.
yeah, they were starting to, still almost, a little under 2 months away from the baseball trade deadline, but
But
you're kind of starting to see what teams might
might
be
need
buyers and sellers and what they need,
exactly.
Um, I mentioned the A's, worst, they only have 12 wins. They're 12
Yeah,
and
they're so
49
terrible.
is a 19% winning percentage.
You would just wonder
They
how
did take
long
2 or
before
3 from the
they're
Braves this week. Don't know how that happened, but
the Braves.
um,
Yeah,
yeah, and then a little off, it was announced that they reached a stadium agreement, or at least a land deal in Las Vegas for a stadium on the Strip,
yeah.
which actually would be kind of cool. I forget. I think that the owners would vote on that later this summer. Is what I read. I can't
Mm,
remember. So no move is official yet, but it looks like Oakland is going to lose yet another team to Las Vegas,
wow,
um, which is a shame. Oakland's a good sports town,
it really
and they've
is.
just
I mean,
always had crap stadiums,
yeah,
and
that A stadium is a dump. Like it is horrible.
it really is. Yeah, to
It's
read some
bad.
stories on the Coliseum, it's just horrible.
Like they
Like
in the way press box, like they said, like it's like when you plug in your stuff, it's like rats and mice just in there. That's a known thing, and the plumbing is terrible. It's just like, oh my god,
yeah, there've been stories of like septic leaks
yeah,
back into locker rooms and stuff. Yeah, it's just
please,
a dump.
please,
And they tried, getting some big development deal there, and they're going to build a new stadium, and they wanted so much from the city to build
yeah,
like a commercial district around it, and just didn't happen. And
right,
I mean, as always, billionaires owners should build their own damn stadiums.
exactly.
But I do get, if you want some support from the city to build an area around it, I get that too, because you want,
Yeah, I mean
you
it's good
know,
for the entire economy if you have the
yeah,
whole fun complex. But yeah, sports teams by themselves. I mean, when you're telling regular people to chip in and the regular people are struggling, just to make ends meet. In addition
yeah,
to, oh, let's
and
help the
you're putting on a
billion.
product that
Right.
only wins 12 games. Like
Yeah.
it's hard for them to care,
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, it's not as surprising as, when the Raiders left. That was kind of like, are you kidding me? You can't take, we know you did it before, but you can't take the Raiders out of Oakland.
Yeah.
Um, And then that even goes out saying, the Golden State moved across the
Yeah.
bay to
San
San Fran.
Francisco.
They used
Yeah.
to be in
Wow.
Oakland too. Yeah.
Hmm.
So unfortunate for Oakland. Good sports
Yeah,
town, cool city. They deserve better.
yeah, they do.
Um, but we will see if this becomes official. I pretty much think it will.
Yeah, I mean, just with just just the amount of traffic just that goes to Las Vegas for just all year around. So of course people are going to catch a game. Then there just
Hmm.
have to be A's fans, or if they're even going to say the A's. I don't even know if they're going to say the A's or if they would change their name at all. But yeah, they're going to get crowds there just because it's going to be the cool thing. I mean, you got to think. I don't think a lot of us really never thought, man, that there'd be one pro, one pro, uh, team in a city, gambling and everything associated with that. And now we're about to have three professional teams in the city of Las Vegas. Now that's crazy.
And that's not counting the WNBA team
Right,
who
exactly.
they just won, right? They
Yeah,
won a title recently.
they did.
And then anytime you hear NBA expansion rumors come up, Las
Oh yeah,
Vegas is
Las
like the
Vegas
first city you
always.
hear about.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's just
It's like Seattle and Las Vegas are the
yeah,
two cities you always hear of those.
exactly. So it's
So yeah,
crazy.
Las Vegas turning itself into a little sports town now. Now that the stigma, the taboo over gambling has gone away. And it is a cool, it's the site of the Tropicana is where they would build it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Theoretically, if you've been to Vegas, that's where that is. I've not, but looking it up, it's literally right there on the strip,
Yeah,
kind of at the
pretty
end of
sweet.
it, but still kind of cool. Yeah, location. I believe it would be like a retractable roof stadium, which you probably desperately
With
need
that,
in that
yeah.
Vegas summer.
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah, in the NL, we mentioned kind of like who you think would the Braves and Dodgers rolling along. Diamondbacks have been a bit of a pleasant
They
surprise.
have.
The Pirates have fell off a little from their hot start, but they're still right in the hunt for that
Right.
division. Milwaukee leading. Um,
That's the other central. Both central divisions always
hmm
wide open. Everybody's kind of around, but no one's really out of contention until late in the season for the most part.
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise in the NL Central is St. Louis
Oh
is in last place right
yeah,
now, 10 games under 500.
struggling.
Um,
Yeah,
the Padres kind of had a slow start. They're kind of getting hot.
yeah.
They're starting to hit the ball. Got Tatis Jr. back. Machado's starting to turn his season around. He's been pretty, bad for his expectations so far. But yeah, it should be a fun summer of baseball.
Sure.
We'll see. Speaking of baseball, we'll go to the college diamond. A lot of college baseball going on right now.
Not a
Um,
good time of the
the
year.
regionals.
Yeah, the regionals. Man, have you seen those Alabama games? Boy,
Oh, crazy! Yes, I watched
crazy.
it. And Alabama is something. Something good bouncing the tides way. One on a walk off. Was that Friday night?
Yeah,
Yeah, against Nicholls State.
and the
And then last night
big
got
ninth inning
lucky.
with that
Yeah, got
air.
back in it thanks to an error, and then added a couple more runs insurance and beat
Yeah,
Troy, who was promptly eliminated today by Boston
yeah,
College.
they did.
So
And that
Alabama and Boston College will
night,
start here, I think, in a little bit
yeah, about
at 8 o'clock.
10 minutes.
Yeah, if Alabama wins tonight, they go on to the Super Regional, and if Boston College wins tonight, then they play one more game tomorrow.
So hopefully we could
Um,
close things out and make a clean run to the. I think we're going to a tough region now. Wake Forest team. They've been a heck of a team all year.
Yeah, Wake Forest has been the number one team all year. A couple of the best prospects in baseball
Oh
on the team. And then let me just read you the scores. Yeah, their first game against George Mason, 12-0.
yeah,
Second game against Maryland, 21-6.
yeah.
And right now they're in the bottom of the seventh against George Mason again, up 15-1.
Yeah, they are power.
So that is a good team.
Yeah,
I now understand why after seeing the bracket release,
Uh-huh.
a lot of people online on Twitter were saying Bama kind of got screwed by that 16 seed, and yeah, they're walking into a buzzsaw
Yeah.
if they do indeed
But
win and make it to Winston-Salem.
to be where we're at,
Mm-hmm.
first chance at the Super Regional since 2010 when we went to Clemson. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
been a while. Even to be in this situation where we have a chance to win a regional has been since like 2014. And
Yeah,
considering where we were
they haven't.
with the coach and just how they've
Mm-hmm.
responded, I mean, it's quite the story, actually. I mean,
Yeah, I think it's the first time we've hosted a regional
since
since we were in
2008,
school. Yeah,
it's been a while.
it's been a while. And, yeah, like we said, with the Bohannon gambling story, a team that's really rallied together. They
And
got a great
really, I
pitching
mean,
staff, and they got some clutch hitting.
yeah, for sure. And they've been clutch. I mean, and, you know, um, you know, should have beat Florida in the SEC tournament. I mean,
Yeah,
tough, tough
yeah, just
loss.
Florida's such a good
Yeah,
team. Florida currently, kind of fighting for
struggling a little bit.
their survival. They're up
Yeah.
1-0 on Texas Tech, but they need to win this game and then
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow again to make it out of their regional.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. We're trying to see what were some of these surprises. If any seeded teams have lost
Well, I
or
know.
been officially eliminated,
I mean,
yeah, Oklahoma State.
Auburn got ran through their regional.
That's right. Yeah, Auburn, regional host. A lot of people said that they shouldn't have a higher seed in Alabama, and those people were kind of proven right. Auburn went 2 and out.
Yeah.
A loss to Penn, and then a loss to Southern Miss.
Southern Miss, understandable, but Penn, yikes.
Penn, but Penn has won both their games, and
Yeah,
they also start here in a few minutes against Southern Miss, and
right.
they just need to win
Well,
the one.
that's
Yeah, Clemson, another
yeah.
seeded team that was eliminated earlier today by Charlotte. And Tennessee is whooping up on Charlotte as we speak and about to close it out, and they will win that region. Then you got, let's see, Arkansas, another one of the title favorites.
They got housed by TCU today.
Yeah, 20-5 jumped on, and then they have a game due to delays. Arkansas has an elimination game against Santa Clara tonight for a chance to get back at TCU tomorrow. LSU, another team they've had some weather delays this series, so they're actually only on their second game, and they're in a tight one with Oregon State. I think Kentucky, I believe, has played well. They're whooping up on Indiana right now. They also have a loss, so they would play again tomorrow.
The crazy thing with Kentucky is their whole situation with everything going on in the area and people having to stay at the dorms and.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. I did read part of that. Yeah, it's like there's
some big country music
Lexington's
festival
a
going
small town.
on. So
yeah, there's a country music festival, and there's something else like in a neighboring town. I think maybe a barbecue festival that attracts a bunch of people too. So
yeah, and so there's
they
like
had to
no
put
hotels.
no hotel space. They had to put the teams in the dorms. But they were kind of like more like riverside dorms, I believe. Kind of like small apartments. One big surprising thing right now is Vanderbilt on the ropes against Xavier. Vandy needs to win to survive.
Yeah, that is tough.
Perennial powerhouse, in college baseball, and right now they are
coming off a
struggling.
championship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Vandy team that whooped up on Bama in the SEC tournament. They are struggling right now.
Yeah.
As I look here, I switched over from the NBA game to the baseball games on the app. Trying to see, I guess maybe they're in a break right now because I don't see them up here. Unless they've gone, unless that went final. It's just not updated on the computer yet. But, yeah, see where else. South Carolina is looking good. Like they'll advance. So the SEC, big powerhouse baseball conference. Looks like they, outside of Auburn and, maybe Florida struggling. Like they're going to put a good number of teams in the super regional. They have the last 2 national champs.
Oh yeah, Mississippi State and Ole Miss last year.
Ole Miss, yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's just. I The just being able to play so much more baseball, starting way earlier in the year, than a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the Midwest and East Coast teams. So I mean, there's definitely an advantage than that baseball, just with how much more you can play when you can start practicing outside, everything that goes along with that. Clear advantage for the SEC and the as we've seen a lot of the Pac-12 and West Coast
Mm-hmm.
teams just have a clear advantage when it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Your powerhouse conferences have always been, the SEC and the
Yeah,
Pac-12 in baseball, and then you have teams like
yeah.
Texas and Cal State
Cal State
Fullerton. You
Fullerton.
mentioned those West Coast
Yeah,
teams, yeah, like
teams that
always
can
kind
always
of,
play.
like you said, it's advantageous to be able to practice. Who knew?
Yeah, you know,
um,
and a footage.
yeah, and then yeah. The lady side of things, they are on to the World Series right
Yeah,
now. Unfortunately,
tough out.
Alabama went 2-0
Yeah,
themselves
tough
and
out.
got roughed up by Tennessee in game one and lost a tight one to Stanford. This wasn't the best,
No, uh,
softball team that we put out. It was good for them to make the World
yeah, it
Series.
was.
Emotional press conference from Montana Fouts.
Yeah,
She has now done her
done.
magnificent career. It's a shame that she didn't get a ring in it.
Yeah,
But
it's kind of.
you're a Bama fan. Look up that press conference. It might get a little dusty for you, but it was,
Yeah, but little allergies.
yeah, somebody might cut some onions around you
Yeah,
and they do that. But
that's that.
no, she, that's a great ambassador for
Oh
the
yeah,
not just the softball team, but
oh
Alabama
yeah,
athletics in general.
yeah. Because she loves Alabama and everybody loves her. I mean, class
Hmm.
individual. Gave 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 her all. Um, and
Yeah, gave her all. Yeah, to the end. Had a knee injury
could
in
have
the
could have hung
SEC
it up, and
tournament, and
no one would have blamed her at all. I mean, that was a tough.
yeah, right. But she gutted it out. Got the win in the super regional clincher.
Yeah,
Um,
against a
but
good
yeah, let's
Western.
see.
Um, yeah, and really, yeah. I mean, it's a definite, definitely a team that has some questions, especially when it comes to the hitting. You would have hoped that over this season, Montana Fouts would have gotten more support. A lot of close losses and a lot of 2-1 type of situations. A lot of close losses that you know they got to figure out where to start recruiting some hitters because I think they have a promising future with Jayla as kind of the next star pitcher, but they got to put some hitting around her to get further than where we got this year if we're gonna stay with the likes of the most powerful. It seems like OU and everybody else right now in women's softball.
Talk about it. Oklahoma just has not lost in where their streak on now? 51,
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
50. That just a absolutely ridiculous
Hey, house
team that
today.
just, oh yeah, they house people. They can pitch.
They
They
got
can hit
hit.
the ball.
Yeah.
Like that is the premier program
Yeah,
in the country right now.
they're just on a different level than
Um,
everybody else, and that's another
mhm.
thing. I mean, the SEC softball. I mean, as powerful as it is, and then after this season, after pretty soon OU is going to be in that mix. So, wow.
Mhm. Yeah, that's yeah. We talk about baseball and softball. Those are
Oh yeah.
adding Texas to that
Oh
baseball
yeah.
side and adding Oklahoma to the softball
Oh
side.
man.
That's rough for
And just wow.
some teams in it
Yeah.
right now, and then rough for other conferences. And as we speak right now, Tennessee is up 2-0 on Oklahoma in the bottom of the fifth. That's an elimination game. The winner of that goes to play Florida State tomorrow
Yeah.
in semifinals. But yeah, like you said, it's who's going to get past. It's you got to get past Oklahoma.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, and the thing is
their
they
title
don't
to
even they
lose.
don't have
Yeah.
bad games.
No. Yeah. They just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They just absolutely do not. They've won 2 straight titles.
Going
A
for
big
three.
favorite for 3.
Yeah.
Um,
They'd have to
and they won.
self-implode pretty much I think, for anybody to beat them. Because you have,
And that's a program that going back, if you go back 10 years, they've actually won 5
yeah,
titles over the past 10
that's.
years, looking at a 6. So,
I mean,
that's
that's
just
just. I mean, if it were,
powerhouse program.
if that was a men's sport, that they'd be getting so
Hmm.
much attention. Like it'd be, all the
Yeah.
dynasty talk. It's a shame. Just that
Yeah,
they
it is. It
under the
really is.
radar.
Like they should
I mean,
get some
it's pretty
more
epic.
recognition. Yeah. Like we mentioned, their winning streaks at over 50
Yeah,
games now. That's absolutely ridiculous in any sport.
yeah.
Men's, women's, it doesn't matter. Um, yeah, Greg. Anything else in the world of sports you want to touch on?
Yes. So, I would, just getting, it's good getting Javon Quinterly and Mark Sears coming back to Alabama.
Hmm.
Do enjoy that. I'm sad we won't be getting Betty Yako back, but I understand you got to go while you can. But at least we
Hmm.
got the guard experience back because I was worrisome if both of those guys were to leave. But glad to see both of them are coming back to Tuscaloosa. So was happy about that.
Yeah, it's huge returns. I know there's some in the fan base that probably won't be happy to see JQ
And I
back,
don't
but
get that. No, I don't get that.
no, and granted, yeah, and someone I talked to, been like, oh, he got blocked so many times during that San
Yeah,
Diego State game. And my retort has been like, everyone did.
yeah.
Like
Nobody played good.
everybody. We were trying to drive, they blocked
Yeah,
everything, and we could not hit our
yeah.
threes. If we hit the threes in that game, we would have
Oh
won it
yeah.
because they weren't playing perimeter
Yeah, we couldn't
defense.
hit a. Everybody had just happened to have the worst game ever, all at the same
Yeah,
time.
it was
Like,
just, yeah, it was bad. Miller's still hurt,
um,
and the big thing, yeah, that's again, like you said, 2 huge guards coming back. We're guard heavy roster now. We need a big
yeah,
man,
we do need
especially with
a.
Chuck leaving.
We're little.
There's that the kid from, is it North Dakota?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the 6'10" guy who's in the portal. That seems to be everyone's big hope, is that Nate Oates can
Oh,
lure
yeah.
him to
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa. Because that would be the biggest. It would be a big get because you need that size, especially in the SEC. And as
Oh,
we
yeah.
saw last year, that was kind of
Been kind
it
of
was a
our.
weak spot for Alabama.
That's been kind of our downfall as of late, just not having
Hmm.
a, a consistent banger that can get dirty.
Yeah, and someone to get those
Yeah.
rebounds. But as we mentioned before, we talked about it a couple months ago after the season ended. There's no worries about where the program's going right
No,
now.
no, not at all.
Things are only going up. It seems like.
We're just.
Other than that,
Yeah.
yeah, I think. Let's see. Zlatan Ibrahimovic retires officially from the soccer world.
All that.
That's one of the greatest characters in the history of that game. If you've never seen a highlight reel of him, folks, definitely just look him
Oh
up
yeah.
on YouTube, and not just like his playing. Obviously an amazing player, but his antics. If you're a Ted Lasso fan and you watch that, the character this year, Zava, was directly based on
All
Zlatan.
right.
Um, and he's really like that in his life. But he retires, wanting, I think he's won something like 34 different trophies in his career, which is amazing. Um, Other than that, nothing right now. I think we've touched on everything
Yep.
kind of in that middle spot. The college baseball and softball seasons are winding
Yeah.
down, NBA season's winding down. Stanley Cup Finals going on right now,
Yep.
but like we've mentioned before, neither of us are
Mm.
follow the NHL too big to know. It is a classic NHL final between Las Vegas and Florida, uh, but the NFL offseason still just kind of humming along.
Yeah. I guess DeAndre Hopkins.
K-
I guess that's kind of
yeah,
where
that's
he
the biggest news so
right,
far.
kind of
The
where he
release,
go
not just traded, but straight
release,
release, and yeah, that's
and that just kind of says, if anything, are they getting away from Kyler as quickly as possible? Like, because you kind of got rid of his biggest weapon and nothing in return for it.
yeah, that's yeah. It's like who Yeah, that's interesting to see. Well, that's a team to watch to see where they go and build their
Yeah.
um, roster around. Jadeveon Clowney's another guy who's out
Hmm.
there. Zeke Elliott.
Yeah, Zeke is out
You know,
there. Um,
um, the funny thing about D Hop, DeAndre Hopkins, is that the team that seems like everyone says he's going to go to is the Chiefs, and like that's what they need. That's what Patrick Mahomes need to.
oh my gosh.
He needs one of the best receivers in the game. Yeah, that's
Wow.
that would be an amazing get for him because yeah, a guy that can go and win battles.
Oh
And
yeah.
Mahomes already throws perfect passes, but he can be off and
And then still be on with the likes
yeah.
of that.
Well,
And that's the thing. You gotta look at it. I mean, yeah, and I mean, DeAndre would be the best receiver he's ever had. Yes, Cheetah's great, but just as far as just the receiving aspect, I think DeAndre would definitely
hmm
by far the overall just
yeah. In terms of overall
yeah.
game, route running and
Hmm.
his ability to make tough
Yeah,
catches and win contested throws.
exactly.
As we speak here, Xavier did indeed finish off Vanderbilt.
Mm,
So Vandy
that's a tough
eliminated
way to go out.
in their own regional. Yeah. Uh, so it looks like Xavier and Oregon will battle it out.
I'm sure there'll be
Um,
a lot of people in Nashville for that one.
yeah, that's a yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah,
Cincy, Xavier in Cincinnati, not too far from Nashville, but still, I don't know how many people they made trip, but that's
yeah,
big.
that is a big up.
But yeah,
Wow.
we said the NFL all season just kind of humming
Yeah,
along. We'll see where it's mostly, obviously, DeAndre Hopkins is a big
yeah.
name that we didn't expect to see there. Everything else seems like kind of, like
Rumors.
veterans like Marcus
Yeah,
Peters,
everything just kind of
we
rumors and
mentioned.
where people want to talk.
Hmm
There's talk, of course, of Derrick Henry being moved and everything, and until that
hmm
actually happens, I'd kind of be shocked if he ever gets.
Yeah, right. It'd be weird seeing him in a jersey different than Titans. And you try to think about what other team runs that kind of
Nobody,
offense.
nobody really.
Uh, you know, the one I would say if they didn't already have, uh, forget his first name, but Tony Pollard is your
Oh yeah,
Cowboys. I mean, they kind of have that line and that power running scheme
yeah.
that they
I mean,
can
it's
do,
possible, but
but
just with
the cap
that
space,
brings,
the
I mean, you're gonna have to pay Derrick Henry, and um,
hmm
we've already run into that issue with Zeke and paid him. It didn't work out as great. Derrick Henry's still a heck of a running back. Some injuries at this point, just with. I guess the biggest thing with that, bringing him in, he doesn't necessarily always have to be the number one guy.
hmm
Because, we do have the other backs there, with Pollard, and, he doesn't have to run it 50 times a game. But, yeah, but that'd be a lot of money. So I don't know.
yeah, exactly. That's I think the hindrance on him moving anywhere is is there a team out there willing to pay for a guy
Exactly.
with that kind of wear and tear on him,
Exactly.
who started to sort of show it the past couple
Right.
seasons. And then also, yeah, he's a weird fit. Not that I mean, he's one of the more physically gifted running backs we've ever
Right.
seen.
But with how.
You can kind of plug and play him in, but
Oh,
he's one of those guys that you mentioned like splitting carries, and you would think that would help him. But he's also one of those guys that kind of needs the ball more and more
gets
to kind of
better as the game goes on.
yeah, it gets better as the game goes and where defense is
Yeah.
down. So that kind of sometimes doesn't work with those guys until you find the right balance. I
Exactly.
remember for years the Saints with Mark Ingram
Mhm.
didn't really figure it out until they just gave him the ball more and more, and then they figured out that great combo with him and Alvin
Oh
Kamara.
yeah, because that was one you're
Yeah.
like, dang, right? Yeah, because a lot of people were thinking Mark was gonna be a bust there, and then he figured
hmm
it out, and then yeah, had a
But
better career than what.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, Mark had a better career than what you thought after his first couple of
yeah.
seasons. Even had that kind of renaissance at one really
In
good year in
Baltimore, yeah,
Baltimore. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think so. Yeah, you touched on the Alabama news. Everything else is kind of all season stuff. Waiting for transfers and basketball. Waiting to see who makes what trades and signings and NFL,
Yeah,
NBA, and baseball over the summer.
kind of wait in the kind of in
Um,
the waiting room, seeing what happens.
yeah, just
Wait,
kind of that waiting game, waiting on
exactly.
the end of these seasons and the Women's World Cup coming up, stuff like that. But so we'll move on. We'll end it. Greg, what has been done up real good for you lately?
Uh, just getting into the summer mode there. The kids out of school and just having some just planning fun activities. It's kind of fun having them out and able to do stuff and had some good weather recently, so can't. I'm just I guess enjoying the summer right now. How about you?
Kind of the same thing. Just getting, except obviously the kid's not in school yet, but it's kind of leaning in the summer months. Going to be a lighter schedule than past summers for me. Not working as many out of state festivals as I used to. Um, the kid's making little strides that they make,
Oh, it's
around the 6 month stage. Holding his head up and
amazing. Oh,
rolling over and all that kind of stuff. Starting to eat solid
yeah,
food, starting to have solid poop. Uh,
no, it's always fun to
but
change.
yeah, yeah, it's a big change. That first time you open a baby's diaper, and you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
all right, that's just a little nugget there. It's no longer
no longer liquid.
slapped all over the place. Yeah. I did want to shout out the ESPN, the app. They have this squeeze play. Is what they call it. It's basically their college baseball version of Red Zone, kind of. And it's cool for someone like me who like kind of interested in what's going on, but doesn't really know a lot about
Hmm.
the ins and outs of college baseball. And they just have as many times they'll get like 6, 7
Oh yeah,
games up on the screen
yeah,
for
I've
you.
seen that. Yeah, that's cool.
And like right now they got 4 going on, so they got you're kind of seeing what's going on around the country, and
That's
they
cool.
have their studio people there. Um, they'll flip into the games announcers, and they also
Hmm.
have their studio people there to help explain like what's going on. So that's kind of
Yeah,
cool. That's been
yeah.
pretty
Because
cool this
sadly,
week watching that.
I think that's what a lot of people really don't follow strongly college baseball until we get to that regional, super regional as much, and then you're kind of like, well, you kind of know the teams, but yeah, the players and everything. But yeah, when you get into it, the regionals and super regionals are pretty cool. And then I'd say if you ever
Yeah,
get a chance to
and it's
come
cool to see
out for
all these
College World Series, it's
weird matchups. Yeah,
fun time as well.
yeah, right. It is. It's one thing. Yeah, like I never. College baseball is always. I've talked about people. It's a very specific
Oh yeah,
fan base. Like you have to grow up in an area that loves
oh,
college baseball to follow it. Like you grow up like me in a major league city, you follow a major league
right,
team.
yeah,
Um, and I never really like I cared about college baseball, but like you mentioned, I always watched the College World Series growing
oh,
up. Back in the '90s when Alabama was making it, I think
yeah.
they made
3 in a
3 in
row.
the late
I
'90s.
think there was like
Yeah,
97, 98, and the last one
yeah,
in
and even
99. But yeah, yeah,
and a title game one of
yeah.
those years.
And, we actually had a decent team when we were in college. We made that had a super regional in
Yeah,
Tuscaloosa, but I think was it. I remember watching North
North Carolina.
Carolina. I think a Grand Slam.
Yeah, it was North Carolina beat us, and they had went on the pitch in it major leagues for a while. Andrew
Yeah,
Miller, I believe, was his name, their star pitcher. Yeah, so we were close to watching a team make the
yeah.
World Series ourselves there. But yeah, it's been fun. It's a cool app. It's a good like kind of kick off the
Oh
summer.
yeah.
Because other than that, it's yard work and
A lot of
working on the deck and projects. Yeah.
y'all.
But that is it, folks. Of course, we will be back in 2 weeks during the summer schedule. We will probably ramp up maybe sometime in July. We'll start doing some college football
Yeah.
previews or something. But we'll decide that and we'll let you know. But for now, thank you as always for listening. Greg, take it easy, man.
You as well.
Thank you once again for listening to Taking on Sports. If you would, please rate and subscribe us on whatever platform you listen to us on. And be sure to tell your friends and whoever you think might be interested to give us a listen as well. Also, be sure to check out the whole family of podcasts here on the Alabama Take Network. You can find them wherever you get your podcast, or you can find them right on the site, thealabamatake.com, along with a bunch of great writings. Once again, thank y'all, and be sure to keep it done up real good out there.